One more example tonight of just how out of control Doge was while Elon Musk was chainsawing through the federal government. The Washington Post reports that the Social Security Administration's internal watchdog is investigating a complaint that alleges a former Doge employee claimed that he had access to two highly sensitive agency databases and that he planned to share that information with his private employer. Now, this is a claim which, if true, would constitute an unprecedented breach of security protocols at an agency that services more than 70 million Americans. And this is not the first time Doge has been accused of putting your private data at risk. Quote, a separate complaint made in August by the agency's former chief data officer, Chuck Borges, alleges that members of Doge improperly uploaded copies of Americans' Social Security data to a digital cloud. And joining us now to discuss this is Chuck Borges, the former chief data officer of the Social Security Administration. He is now a Democratic candidate for Maryland State Senate. Chuck, thank you for being with us. Good evening. Can you help us understand the actual danger of what this Doge employee is alleged to have done?
Good evening. Thanks for having me. If this whistleblower report is true, from my perspective, this is literally the worst case scenario. This is what keeps me up at night. This would be an unprecedented loss of personal information at a scale that's almost unimaginable. These databases contain full names, social security numbers, places of birth, dates of birth, mother's maiden names of your family going back generations. This would be a generational data breach with almost indescribable implications if this data were lost.
Chuck, you and I spoke, this is Catherine, by the way, you and I spoke a couple of months ago about your concerns. At that time, we did not actually know that the data had been breached, just that you had alleged that it was probably insecure, and we may not even know if it was breached. Could you help our viewers understand what the risk for fraud, what their risk for fraud may be, being targets of fraud as a result of this breach?
Sure. Imagine, if you will, with this data out, an identity thief being able to create a complete and full identity profile of you, your parents, your grandparents, your distant cousins, the ability to socially engineer you, to impersonate family members, to access your accounts. You know, my elderly grandmother just passed away. She was 97. With this information, it would be very easy for an identity thief, and she'd never been on a computer before, to redirect her payments before it was even noticed from Social Security. So this would make it very easy to not just conduct identity theft for government services, but remember that private institutions like healthcare institutions and banks rely on this information for their own identity verification systems. The need to re-architect those systems at scale would be confusing and cumbersome and would result in lost services for anybody that relies on government services, bank services, healthcare, or lives paycheck to paycheck. That is before you consider the intelligence value of this information. With this wealth of personal information, you are opening up high-value people across the country to blackmail, to social engineering, to targeted disinformation campaigns. You are opening up the potential for targeted political manipulations, for the ability to understand people's voter registration habits and possibly change things if they could access these systems remotely. It is frightening to think about the ramifications to everyday citizens if this data is exposed, if it was downloaded, or if it's lost.
What you're describing is pretty terrifying, to put it plainly. And I'm curious what questions these allegations raise for you, not just about this ex-staffer at Doge themselves, but about potentially the role of Elon Musk and the entire sort of function of Doge. I mean, what are the kinds of questions, the things people should be digging into now that we know this?
I appreciate that question. So my disclosure in August simply alleged that this data was being put at risk of something like this happening. And all along, I've maintained that the agency and the government could prove or disprove whether this data was kept safe and secure all along by producing logs, emails, Teams chats, and other forms of verification to show that the data was secure, that the security boundary was never breached, and that there was no instance at which that security boundary was compromised, and this data could be sent or downloaded to a private asset or a thumb drive. That is true today. If you are an everyday citizen, you should be on the phone immediately after this to your congressperson demanding that they get the truth from the agency so that you can sleep at night knowing that your data is safe and secure. The only thing that will give the American people confidence that their data has not been exposed, has not been downloaded, is a full congressional investigation.
Chuck Borges, thanks so much for your time tonight.